Hi, and welcome to Not So Radical. I'm your host, Peter, and today we're talking about the rise in hate crimes against Asian Americans. Now, we're going to start with this video from Steven Crowder. As like I've said before, he does a lot of homework on his stuff. He posts his sources on louderwithcrowder.com if you want to double check, but let's get into the video.
What you've heard, they're using it to try and tar and feather their political opponents.
There's I know Grace Mann will probably speak to this in New York. A man just pushed a woman in her 50s. They describe her as old, I describe her as young. Pushed a woman, Asian American woman, and then on the Olivia Moon, she put out the word on, and other celebrities put out the word on social media. The police, New York police, she gave them credit, found him very soon, but they didn't know whether it was a hate crime. White supremacy is the biggest bucket of concern when it comes to domestic terrorism.
See, now when you have term limits, I mean, Nancy Pelosi, when she talks about this kind of stuff and blames it on white supremacy, the straight white male, Donald Trump, things like this, over the last spring, there's a constant stream of stories from the mainstream media. There's verbal confrontations, fights, knifings, even acid attacks. A lot of these things were called hate crimes, saying it was because Donald Trump was calling it the China flu, Chinese virus, because the virus came from China. I mean, China virus. It doesn't seem racial. It just seems like you're calling the virus that came from China the China virus. But besides dumb little things like that, they say a lot of his rhetoric, and like I said, they try to blame straight white males, Donald Trump, any way they can on the right. That's just what they do. But see, things like this, when they talk about these hate crimes, but they forget to show the video, or that say that the attacker is actually black, a 19-year-old, he was black in this situation. It was a hate crime at first, but since he's black, it doesn't necessarily qualify as a hate crime because he isn't a white nationalist. But that's the problem with only writing about it, but not telling people's race at first. These people with the rhetoric of the mainstream media and Democrat politicians, they are taught and pretty much bred to automatically think that white people bad, orange man bad, Republicans bad, the whole 9 yards. Well, let's go to a little montage of videos of some of the recent crimes that have happened.
This surveillance footage shows a 71-year-old Asian grandmother violently shoved to the ground, her purse stolen. Just one of several attacks.
I just want to warn you, in this video, you're going to see a lot of white supremacy, white supremacists. It's pretty graphic.
Attacks in California's Bay Area recently. A 91-year-old man pushed in Oakland's Chinatown, one of 3 attacks that day. 84-year-old Thai American Visha Ratanapakdi knocked over while out for a walk.
Yeah, that gentleman did end up dying, and it's even more sad what happened after, but we'll get into that shortly.
He died a few days later from his injuries. His family saying they believe it was rooted in racism.
This guy should not be allowed back on the street. He should be charged with murder. If you see the video, there's nothing non-intentional about it.
Asian American leaders say these attacks are a trend.
They look like they
Now, according to Democrats, as long as if you're anything but white, you can't be hateful, you can't be racist, you can't commit hate crimes. There's just they don't label those kind of crimes. It's only if you're white and you commit a hate crime is it racist and a hate crime.
Chef at Brooks Brothers.
We have been reporting on the growing number of attacks on Asian Americans across this country. And tonight here in New York, a vicious and brutal attack. The suspect allegedly stabbing the victim from behind.
The 36-year-old victim, seen here in security camera video, now being reviewed by police, was walking alone when Salman Muflihi allegedly stabs him in the back with this 8-inch knife.
Police are investigating another attack on an Asian American person in Northern California.
The video was taken in a laundromat.
He's going to lose him.
Yeah, Salman Muflihi definitely sounds white. I mean, when I think white supremacist names, Salman Muflihi's like top of the list.
Gap Kids sponsorship.
February 23rd.
I hate Asians.
Why you call me that?
Now, obviously, if you don't get the joke, I'm being sarcastic about all these people being white supremacists. They're obviously all African Americans. Let's not forget we also had the knockout game in recent years where people just went around seeing if they could knock people out in one punch, which was predominantly by African Americans. Nobody was calling it a domestic terrorist threat, or African Americans were a threat to society or a threat to certain people, but they have no problem labeling white people or conservatives as white supremacists and the ultimate threat to society at this time and day. It's dangerous rhetoric to be preaching. But to go back to the gentleman that was pushed so hard that he actually ended up dying, and because also I would assume that because of his age. Now, this is the district attorney that pulled the charges against him in the murder case in hopes of reaching a restorative justice outcome. Racism's so alive and well that black people are just let off charges just because of their skin color. I wish my minor things that happened in my past, I wish I was let off free of charge, just nothing. But, you know, in America, not everybody's treated the same, but it usually has to do with how much money you have, not your skin color. And also, a little statistic from back in 2008, there was a survey done by the police department. 300 strong-arm robberies were analyzed. 85% of the physical assault crimes against Asians the perpetrators were African American. So, Pelosi, you can stop saying that white supremacists are the biggest threat when BLM and Antifa, not even protesters anymore, rioters, done over $2 billion in damage, hundreds of lives lost, among countless of burning down communities, small businesses, just the list goes on. But nobody will condemn any of that. They're expressing themselves, just peaceful protests. They're peaceful people. They're peacefully burning shit down. They're peacefully stealing shit. They're peacefully killing people. This country is upside down. But say at least that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. But numbers don't lie. Unless you're Cuomo cooking the books, but we all know that. But let's also not forget that, yeah, Cuomo, there's some sexual assault charges against him, but let's not also forget or take away from that he killed thousands of people's parents, loved ones, grandparents, sisters, brothers in his nursing home scandal. How is he still in office? How is he not in jail? Why is he not on trial as we speak in the very least? But that's another story for another day. But don't forget, like, subscribe, comment. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like. If you agree, disagree, whatever, bring it. But that's it for this week. Take it easy.